today we've got Andy Hannigan. I've known Andy since 2010. He's the owner of a team in St. Louis, Missouri. They serve both Missouri and Illinois. He's a real estate investor. He's a coach with Maps, active in his community. And he's going to be talking about some AI strategies to get listings sold. Andy's greatest accomplishment was getting married to Jamie. Was that a year ago, Andy?
Yep. Last time I combed my hair was for my 1 year anniversary. So you're welcome, Russ.
Yeah, thank you for coming in today too.
Yeah.
So Andy, take it away and talk to us about AI and how you're using it to get more listings sold.
Well, it's very simple for me is I just talk to AI. I role play with it. I sharpen my message and I ask it to do certain things or explain certain things to me as simple as possible so I can maybe pick up some tips because I can be very verbose and some of my explanations get really convoluted unless I practice ahead of time. I don't know if I'm any different than anyone else, yet it is practicing a role play that you can do at any time. There's no unreliable role play partner that after the first week of Bold, they start wanting to chat or not showing up to the call. There's not somebody who's less skilled than I am. It's just a conversation between two individuals, and one individual just happens to be non-human and have all the access to all the data you would really want to have a conversation with your clients. So it's very simple and very easy for me to do that on the way to a listing appointment, on the way from a listing appointment to see what I could have said better when I'm if things didn't go well or it could have went better, um, and really just to sharpen my sword. So again, I it's nothing that we're not already doing. It's just way more convenient and at our disposal now than ever before. So I would say that's the main number one way I bring value to my clients and my business through AI.
Okay, awesome. So you're going to do a demo for us today, right?
Yeah, we'll do a little mini role play with Ryan. I could do some with my listings, but it doesn't matter because I'm in St. Louis. So we
Yeah.
just somebody local, so it makes a little bit more sense to you guys. And we'll show you what AI is capable of. And again, I'm not selling anybody on anything. I should have the disclaimer because I was at Mega Camp after Gary decided to can everything and just cover all AI. And there were a bunch of people, including Maps coaches, that just looked like deers in headlights after it was over. They were overwhelmed. They're like, "Am I behind? I don't know how to do any of this." And the thing is, I'm not going to share anything with you that I didn't learn within the first 2 hours of playing with it, focused playing with it. So it's not anything that you can't catch up with today. I mean,
Right.
legitimately, it's not going to replace you. It's more like a junior research assistant who's still pretty bad at their job, and yet we can also you can bounce ideas off of, and it can give you ways to refine your messages when it does get the information right. But again, we still got to be the experts. We still got to do the data. And Russ, I know is because he was my team leader for what 10 forgettable years. I mean, so
Yeah.
he pumped us full of data, and so I know he does the same for you. He sent me the data for Eagle County, so it's fresh in my mind. If I see anything wrong, if I hear anything wrong, because we'll have a phone conversation with AI, I'll be able to question it and say, "Are you sure about that?"
Yep.
And Ryan and I, we were role playing and practicing yesterday with this, and he was saying the same thing. It's like, yeah, it's in the ballpark. I'm more right than it is, but it's in the ballpark, and it'll help me with my conversation. So, Ryan, are you available to
Let
kind
me
of read what we did
let me
yesterday?
pop him in here. Okay.
There you are, Ryan. Okay, I'm going to call AI. And if you don't know how to do that, Ryan was like, "Wait, how do you do that?" You see, there's this little. I'm on Chat GPT, by the way. I'm not. All the five generative AIs, this one's just the most frequently used. I prefer Claude or Grok for some of these conversations, but we'll just use Chat GPT because it's the most prominent right now. But all you want to do if you want to call somebody is that little white dot in the lower right hand corner, and you'll just get on the horn with them. And you see this here is a bug with them that they haven't removed, but this blue kind of circle, that's the text or the voice bubble where they start talking. So I'm going to talk to the AI right now. Well, actually, give me 1 second. Hey, hold on. I'll talk to you, Chat GP, in a second. I'm putting it on mute. So, Ryan, you got a listing.
Time, and whenever you back in, just let me know. I'll be here.
All right. So, Ryan, you got a listing that it took 80 days to get under contract, correct?
That's right.
Okay. And I'm going to have you talk to my AI. That way you haven't trained it. You don't know anything about this except for just the 5 minutes of conversation you had with it yesterday. And you're going to ask them some questions to help you get some insight on that listing. You ready to talk to it?
Yeah. Hi, Chat. I had a listing at 196 Spring Creek Lane in Edwards, Colorado, 81632, and it took us 80 days to get the home under contract.
Got it. So 196 Spring Creek Lane in Edwards took about 80 days to get under contract. If we're looking at that, that's a good benchmark for how the market's moving in that area. If you need to chat more about what might have caused that timeline or how it compares to other listings, just let me know.
Yeah, Chat.
Yes. Go ahead.
So, yeah, can you give us any ideas, Chat, on why it took 80 days to get that property under contract?
Absolutely. So if it took around 80 days, a few possible reasons come to mind. One is just the overall market pace in that part of Edwards. If the months of inventory in there are leaning more balanced or even favoring buyers, homes naturally take a bit longer to move. Absolutely. So if it took about 80 days, a few things could have been in play. One possibility is just the general market conditions around Edwards at that time. If the market's a bit more balanced or even leaning toward buyers, then longer days of market are pretty normal. It could also be something like the initial pricing strategy. Maybe it was priced a bit above what buyers were comfortable with and needed a small adjustment. Or it might have been about visibility. Maybe it needed a little extra marketing push or a refresh in the listing photos. So overall, it's probably a combo of market timing, pricing, and how the property was presented. And now that you've got it under contract, you can use those insights for the next listing.
So what are the months of inventory in Vail, Colorado right now?
Right now, Vail is sitting around that balanced range of about 4 to 6 months of inventory. That means it's neither a super strong seller's market nor a buyer's market. It's pretty balanced out there, which also explains why some listings might take a bit of time to get traction. So that's the current snapshot.
All right, so we have that information right now, and we're going to keep that in mind as we ask it a couple additional questions because we quizzed it. Ryan has all the answers to the quiz, so we'll see how right Chat GPT is. And again, it might give us a different answer than yesterday, Ryan. That's fine. If it gives us a better answer, awesome. But we'll see why he thinks it went under contract and what it went under contract for, and we'll ask him to predict that. Though a couple things you can do, I know that prompts are usually something that are being sold. I've got the best, hottest prompt. Honestly, prompts are just frameworks for conversation. If you know what kind of limits you want to have with that you want to put on your conversation partner and your Chat GPT or Grok or Gemini, that's all you really need more than anything else. A lot of experts are saying prompts are still important, but they're only important to teach you how to kind of put rules to the conversation so it's more streamlined and efficient. You get more what you want. So I wouldn't go out of my way to either purchase or master a ton of prompts. You're going to figure out what you want in a conversation partner as you play with it. So I'm going to ask it a couple questions. So take a look at that listing of Ryan's and let me know what your thought with the initial price based on the market conditions in Vail, Colorado. And then also give me a guess now that it's under contract on what you think it's going to sell for based on comparable listings in the area. And I'm just muting it so that Ryan and I or anybody else can.
Scoop. Listing on 196 Spring Creek Lane initially went up for about 6.55 million and then got a price cut down to 6.2 million. That price reduction probably helped to go under contract. Given the Vail area's median home price is around 1.7 billion and homes are taking roughly 83 days to sell, that lines up pretty well with the timeline you saw. My guess is it'll likely close somewhere around that final reduced price. So probably in the low 6.2 million range, assuming the comp support it.
Where's it at, Ryan?
5,985.
So we're within what, 300,000?
Yeah.
Now, percentage-wise, I'm not going to do that math right now, but it's close-ish, right?
Yeah.
It's about 5%, and And that 5% plus or minus is that, if you any type of statistics, that that's within that range of feasibility, from pricing and what things can go for. So what I'm looking at here, and the reason we did this, and we'll do a little bit more with Chat GPT to help everyone, but this is a role play you can do before you get with your clients. But as a coach, we have found out that when you get information, a third-party information from something like a Chat GPT, and they're giving feedback to the client's way less likely to insert their ego into the reaction. They're way less likely to be emotional about things. Again, this isn't
Tell us more about that, Andy.
Well, when you're having an algorithm and a program, in this situation, it's a generative AI or a large language model, it's taking all the data available online and formulating some type of analysis or opinion. And when they're having a data bank based conversation, and it's not a human, it's an inanimate object that just happens to speak English to us, it's giving you an analysis that it's of what it's seen. It's just calling it out how it is. There's no face, there's no person to blame. It's not accepting a commission from you, so they can't go, I'm paying you and you're to give me this bad information. What it's doing is just giving you the facts. And so
you're saying that, like, if AI says you look bad in those jeans, it's easier for them to take than if I say you look bad in those jeans.
Absolutely, yes. And even though you've told me that many, many times,
Yeah,
AI would have made it hurt a little less.
Yeah.
So, and that's the big thing. They're not going to attack you. And my challenge to anybody who will get comfortable enough having these conversations is to have the conversation with AI in front of your clients if you're not getting the results you're wanting based on pumping them with that. And again, there's tools like the total market overview. There's tools like the Eagle County statistics that Russ sent me. There's plenty of statistics out there that will show you that listings that stay on the market longer are listings that go stale and sell for less, significantly less as far as asking price is concerned. The listings that sell the fastest are the ones that sell in the first 2 to 3 weeks. But you can share that with them, but they may, again, the client may just automatically think, well, this person just wants me to lower my price so they can sell it faster and make a commission. Well, the answer is yes, that's true. Yet also it's true that it will benefit you as well, and you will make more money by selling it faster. If you need ChatGPT to back you up, again, as a junior research assistant that's still somewhat trying to learn how to do its job, it can give you information, and it can give your clients information that they may take less personally. And I've witnessed that both with coaching clients and with buyers and sellers. When it's a great tiebreaker. Let's ask ChatGPT. You think your house is worth $4 million, and I think your house is worth 250. We're a little bit different in St. Louis price point wise. So let's see. This is a great tiebreaker. Where do we think we need to be? All right. Well, and they still may be a little high because most of the generative AIs, they err on flattering the user. So the user uses it more, right? So you got to understand that $300,000 hedge that we looked at, that projection, that probably is to make sure that their feelings aren't hurt too much, that they use a different generative AI. But either way,
you're making a really good point there, Andy. Like the way these large language models work, it's designed to, it's like a dopamine rush. It's designed to get you coming back. So every time you give it something or ask it to do something, it's going to side on making you feel good about it. Like I'll have it help me create an outline for a meeting, and every time I say, but what about this? It'll respond with, that's a brilliant idea. Like, I love it.
Yeah.
But it can hurt you if you don't recognize it's doing that.
Well, about 4 months ago, I asked all 5 generative AIs that I have, hey, who are the top 10 realtors you would recommend in the St. Louis area for buying and selling? And they, all but one of them, and it was Grok that didn't do this, they named 10 realtors that weren't me, and then they said, and Andy Hannigan, of course. So it's still flattering you. And the thing with it is, too, if you want to dig deeper into it so you understand this information better, you can log out of the phone conversation you're having with ChatGPT, check the text format, and to the right, you can look at the different sources that they're citing and the different websites where they got their main information from. This allows you to vet their information, and then you can correct and say, I don't want you going to Redfin anymore. Redfin, actually, I kind of like their data, but I don't want you going to Redfin anymore. I want you to go to the Fed's website and National Association of Realtors for their data, and it'll correct itself, and it'll say, okay, here's what the data shows there. Or I'll say, can you name your 5 sources and how they different, how they're different? You know, is there a range there, and who's at the top, who's at the bottom of their projections, right? I think if anybody, what is that social media realtor publication? Is it Keeping Current Matters or Keeping Matters Current? Something
Keeping
like
Current
that.
Matters.
Yeah, Keeping Current Matters. They aggregate different projections from reputable research companies or from reputable real estate companies as to what price projections are going to be nationally for 2026. They might have 5 projections there and then do the average score of that. You can coach your generative AI into doing that as well for you and creating your own graphics so you don't have someone else's logo or Keeping Current Matters logo in your posts or in your email or however else you're getting this information out to your data bank.
Awesome.
Yeah, so the big thing is, and again, we wanted to work just with the pricing conversation first and get its take on things. Like if Ryan didn't have it under contract and he went to a listing appointment and the listing wasn't on the market currently, he could easily ask ChatGPT or again, use generative AI, hey, I'm at a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home in Vail, Colorado at this part of town. It's got a finished basement. It's 4,000 square feet, 2-car garage detached, and it's on a 2-acre lot. What do you think this is going to go for? I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the updates and the condition are as good as you can get for the area without over improving, and 0 is bulldoze it over. I'd say it's about an 8. With that information, what would you say this house would go for in today's current market? And you can ask them what the answer is right in front of your client after having already gone through the pricing conversation and the comps. And you can feed them some of these comps as well, feed the AI some of these comps as well, so it can also make a more educated guess if you'd like. All of that can be done just by texting the link to it or screenshotting any PDF and then feeding it the photo or the image in a screenshot format of whatever PDF has the additional market information on it. You can make it smarter and you can give it more information so it makes a better educated guess for sure.
Okay.
Ryan, did you want to quiz ChatGPT in any other way with your listing in particular? Or we can start looking at the housing affordability index or talk about go a little bit further into the months of inventory. Just so, again, this can explain maybe more simply than you or I can to your clients what months of inventory means and how that impacts their listings value or their property's value, and the affordability index. How does that help you understand the buyer pool and what they're willing to pay or not pay in this market?
Yeah. Well, something else I just want to make that doesn't necessarily have to do with market conditions for you all on the call. I've been using, Russ has signed us up to use BrokerBot, and I've cross-referenced it with ChatGPT and Perplexity. And something else to keep in mind, because I think oftentimes as agents, we're programmed to do business a certain way, and with this new technology, even I forget to use it. Even when you have a contract question, and this can, ties into Will's world a little bit. Like if you have a complicated contract question, even I've used AI and just uploaded contracts or uploaded inspection objections and say, hey, chat, help me understand what this means and how do I come up with a reasonable resolution. Even last night, I was dealing with a tough one, and I said, hey, chat, would you give me some tips on how to negotiate this using Chris Voss's method and never splitting the difference? And it gave me some prompts and scripts to use to communicate with the seller and to communicate with the buyer's agent on how to use words, good question asking, building empathy with the other party, coming to a mutual agreeable facts. And and then it spit out exactly how to write the resolution. So that's something else that a little off script, Andy, that I think it's just good to remember is if you get yourself into a position where you just don't know the answer to something, whether it's pricing a home, dealing with objections, or even managing a contract that you may not understand the finer points, these tools work exceedingly well.
Absolutely. And I think understanding, and we as realtors probably already know a lot of this. And I know that Russ knows a lot of this, but if you're looking at the housing affordability index or the months of inventory or days on market, those are all metrics that can lend themselves to helping people understand if we're in a buyer's market, a seller's market, or a balanced market. And again, role playing with ChatGPT. In fact, again, going back to the prompts versus just teaching people how to or teaching your ChatGPT how to talk to you. I right before this call, I was going, "Hey, explain to me like I'm 5 what months of inventory means." And their analogy fell flat with me because it was about cookies in a cookie jar or something. I'm like, I don't mean explain to a 5-year-old, explain to like a 5-year-old level of intelligence, but still can understand the quantitative meaning behind 6 months of inventory, 8 months of inventory, 4 months of inventory, and how that impacts me as a homeowner in that region, right? And so you can play with it, and I'll say, we ran out of time. I'm like, give me another analogy. Give me another analogy. And it got off the toys and cookies and things like that in grandma's house, and it started talking about the, ones and twos. But what it does is allows you to simplify your message, so that way, if your clients aren't the most numbers based and they get overwhelmed by that, you can go slower and simpler and really chunk it down to very simple elements, and then you just have a better, more enhanced communication with your clients. And it's extremely important to do that because, as we are in this transitioning market, you're getting national news that says it's a buyer's market more than it's saying it's a balanced or a seller's market. And the reason being is because they're measuring national information. And the West and the South are overwhelmingly buyer markets. Yet the Midwest and the Northeast, with a few exceptions in the Northeast, are still strong sellers markets, right? And Redfin, if you look at Redfin, they say that places like St. Louis are a balanced market. Well, I haven't had a listing that didn't go multiple offers, save for my investor REO friendly ones, in a very, very long time. And it still isn't the case. And that's been the case for a lot of agents around here. So even though on paper it looks like a balanced market, we're going to be able to at least say, here's what it looks like on paper. And here's what our experience is on being on the front lines and seeing this every day. And then you can ask that. You can even ask ChatGPT, why does it say it's a balanced market in St. Louis, even though all the data and experience that we're having says differently? Days on market, the amount of what a listing goes for when it sells in under 30 days. And they'll go, well, there's a lot of issues with how Redfin tracks buyers. They think buyer inventory is extremely overstated, right? And so those are things that now you have. So when your clients, let's say the high Cs, and they're looking for confirmation bias, they're looking for information that confirms what they want to hear and not you. You can also go back and say, well, I did do a little bit of research on that. And here's the thing. If you're looking at Redfin they don't embellish on purpose, but they do overpronounce the amount of available buyers that are out there. If that were the case, we'd be seeing this. We don't. Here's the end data. It's this. Now we could be moving into a balanced market. We might see that in 90 days, but as of right now and in the last 6 months, this is what we're looking at, and all that data shows it's a seller's market more than anything else, right?
Andy, in our last 2 minutes here,
yeah,
what for those listening, what would be some things that we should use AI for, in around this topic right now? What are some takeaways?
The first thing I would do is don't half-ass it. map out 2 hours of uninterrupted time where there's no beeps, dings, buzzes, rings, kids or dogs barking or crying, and just sit down and play with it. It's going to get super intuitive, but it's going to get super intuitive for your needs and your business's needs because you already know what you need and what you're missing. This is a super convenient research tool. It's not exhaustive. It's not complete. It's not the ultimate research tool. It's super convenient. And when things don't seem right, you can dig deeper into it. Know your numbers, pay attention to everything that your market centers in your region send you as far as numbers are concerned, like the lore, like these snapshots or the total market overviews, and then pay attention to that. So that way, when you are having a conversation with generative AI, you know when they're wrong and you know where it's failing you, and you can bridge those gaps because you're still the expert.
Yeah.
I would start with just that, and I'd keep it that simple. I could go in a bunch of flashy things and say a bunch of proverbs and everything like that to get you guys all fired up around it, but don't do all that. Let's just stick with substance. Clear out
Right.
2 hours of uninterrupted time. Don't half-ass it, and just play with it. Talk to it, communicate with it, call it out, and you can be a little mean to it if you need to. It actually starts acting right when you do that.
and using specific examples like Ryan did with his property is a really great way to figure out how AI can help you speak to your clients and even have tougher conversations with your clients that are hard to tell them directly. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you, Andy. Appreciate your being with us today.
Always.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Okay.